Welcome back to the FNZ 90 Plus Free podcast, where free football supporters take a look into the dressing room, chatting to former professional footballers and sometimes managers in tonight's case about their experiences on and off the pitch. I'm your host, Ashley Simons. Find yourself scrolling through Instagram at all? Why not follow our Insta page? Just search FNZ_football and join our ever-growing community. With all the best in the latest football news and views, you can also follow our personal accounts. Just search for the accounts that we follow. Tonight, I'm joined by Tux and Bex once again. Boys, how are we doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Bex, I'm going to start this one off with you tonight. If you had to choose between starting Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard, who would it be?
Paul Scholes.
Why?
He's a winner, and he's a serial winner.
Wow. So what, Lampard didn't win anything?
Well, he did, but it's like first, second, third, isn't it?
Yeah, good point. What about you, Tux?
Following on from what Bex just said, arguably Scholes is probably the better one out of the three. But if it was out of Gerrard and Lampard, who I'd start for, say, England, I feel like Gerrard was probably possibly better for England. You can't really pick between both of them. Sort of similar players, but sort of not as well. Gerrard, towards the end of his career, is more defensive. Lampard, his goal scoring record speaks for itself. So, but on England level, I always thought Gerrard was a little bit better.
Yeah, completely agree. We'll leave that one to the listeners tonight and the viewers, of course. Tonight we're joined by a former footballer who is known to be one of the most prolific non-league goal scorers in history, with over 500 goals to his name in a career spanning almost 2 decades. Currently manages a League One side. You might as well call him Mr. Accrington Stanley. Who are they? Exactly. That's what they say, isn't it? It's John Coleman. How are you doing, John?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. That's very good to hear. So tonight, obviously, you're new to the show, so you won't be familiar with the format. So let me just set the scene for you. Just imagine, you've just won promotion to the Championship. You've had one too many beers, and you need one of us three to buy you a beer at I can't even remember what the pub's called now. At the pub. We're in the pub. At the bar. You need one of us to get you a pint, right? I've had one too many already, as you can tell. Just tell us all your best football stories so that we can buy you a free pint, all right? So, Tux, you're going to start us off with the questions tonight, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Ash. So, John, thanks again for joining us on tonight's episode. Your rise from a non-league player to a respected EFL manager is remarkable. But before we come on to that, I would like to find out where the passion and the love of football came from. I mean, take us through your early childhood memories relating to football.
Well, I'm a Liverpool fan. I was brought up in Kirby, just outside Liverpool, and it's a hotbed of talent, really. 2 European Cup winning captains. Phil Thompson lived 100 yards from me. Dennis Mortimer, also an FA Cup winning captain. European Cup winning captain. So, it was a real hive of football, and that's all everyone did, and that's all I wanted to do. And I read a lot of books. I try to educate myself. I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to get more qualifications. But I like reading. And one of the things that frustrates me a lot is you read about people who never give up, and they went the extra mile, and then they eventually got the dream. They worked hard and hard and hard. Well, I never made the grade. It was called making a grade then when you play pro football in the Football League. And I never made the grade, and it certainly wasn't what I wanted to sign. So all these fairy tale stories that you read, you need a lot of luck. And, I worked hard. I didn't get me breaks. Thought I had a chance at Wigan when I was 17, 18. Even when I was 22, went back to Wigan again. Didn't get taken on. And I got offered a contract at Stockport, which was a dream come true. And then I got offered it on a Friday, and the manager got the sack on a Sunday, and I went in on a Monday. I was told there's nothing there for me. So, it was bittersweet, really, because I enjoyed playing non-league football, met some great people, had some great thrills, earned a few bob as well. But I was always hankering to be involved in professional football, and the next best thing was to go and manage it, and no one gave me that opportunity. I had to take a club into the league to do it. So, I lived and breathed football as a kid. Played for my town team, my local town team. Played for the schoolboys. I was actually ball boy when Kerry Dalglish made his debut for Liverpool, 77 at Wembley. And that was a thrill. But no, I was desperate to be a footballer, and this was the next best thing.
Yeah, so obviously people, including yourself, coming from Liverpool, obviously, live, breathe and eat football. So, I mean, what was it like growing up, watching those sort of teams play, and then obviously having the family that you went to the games with? I mean, how many sort of games did you go to as a kid?
Well, I went to them all really when I was younger. My brother started taking me. It was quite ironic because my mum and dad and me two sisters were both Evertonians, and so you would have thought that we'd have followed suit, but I followed my brother. My brother was a Liverpool fan, and my first memory of football was 1968 Everton playing West Brom in the FA Cup final. And my mum was dead nervous. She wouldn't watch Everton. She was staunch Evertonian, but wouldn't watch it. And we had to watch it in a neighbour's house. And I remember dancing down the street when Everton lost. So that was my first memory of watching a game. And then my brother used to take me to games. But it's really mad because I was playing when I was 16. I didn't grow very big when I was 15, 16. So I was in the town team, the Kirby boys. But I was only ever sub. And so you couldn't play for the school because you played for Kirby boys. And you couldn't play Sundays. So I went 2 years hardly playing. And then about 16, 17, I played for my local town team. And then I got a bit disillusioned. And I started going to watch Liverpool home and away. And I had a bit of a job. It wasn't a very good job in a forklift truck place. And it was like one of them job creation schemes, where you do 6 months and then they half promise you the job if you keep your nose clean. And Liverpool played in the semi-final against Arsenal. It was before the penalty shootouts, and then it was 3 replays. And I went to them all. So I got time off work for the 2 of them. And then when the 3rd one came along, my boss said I couldn't have the time off. And I said, well, listen, I've been to the other 3. I'm not going to not go. I've got a ticket. And he said, well, you're looking to get a job at the end of it. You're not going to get a job if you're basically disobeying and take the time off. And I said, well, you can stick your job then. So I went and watched Liverpool, and ironically, they were awful on the night. They got beat 1-0 by Arsenal. Brian Talbot scored. And I started going back to play football. So, but for that night, if Liverpool had played well, I mightn't be where I am now, I started playing non-league again, and then it took off for me. Yeah,
definitely. So just sort of talk us through what it means, like Liverpool against Everton, for people that, like us that aren't from Liverpool, or, people that aren't from Merseyside, or that, that area of the country. I mean, just talk to us how much it means watching Liverpool against Everton and what that derby means.
People talk about it as the friendly derby. It's ending, but there's a lot of bitterness surrounding the city when the derby comes up. I mean, I've got loads of Everton fans who are mates, plenty of Liverpool fans who are mates, but it's got worse over the years, to be honest. The last few years, it's got really bad, and there's a hatred there. Some people say Liverpool and Man United, man, and nowadays Liverpool City. I don't see it, mate. The only real rivals for me is Everton, and at this moment in time, we've been on the top for quite a while. I think it's 25, 26 years since Everton won, 25 years since Everton won the trophy. And I remember Everton being good in the 80s, and possibly it was healthier then. There was more of an edge to it for me, because now, I mean, you go to watch the derby and it's like damage limitation for Everton, and if Liverpool don't win, they're on hard to nothing really, because they should win. If they don't, the Evertonians crow. So, yourselves being football fans, you know what it's all about. So, it's always that one-upmanship with your mates. And, I still, I know I shouldn't, but I still question Klopp when he doesn't pick the right team, in my opinion. Yeah. That seems to be a running thing at the moment.
Yeah, so just going on to your playing career then. So, as Ash mentioned earlier, you had a fantastic goal-scoring record in the non-league as a player. So apart from scoring all those goals, I mean, sort of take me through some of the moments you enjoyed most as a player.
Well, I was a bit of I was one of them things. I was a hothead, and I wish I know now what I knew then. I wish I knew then what I know now. If a manager had the temerity to take me off or didn't pick me, I'd just say, I'll go and play for somebody else. And I was lucky that I was scoring goals, so I could always get a club. But I really settled down at Morecambe. That was when I went to Morecambe and I had 6.5 good years there. I got 202 goals in 270 games for them. So that was a real purple patch for me. And I made a lot of good friends. There was a lot of lads coming up from Liverpool in a minibus to play for them. And I had an absolute whale of a time there. And then, after that, I scored a bit for Lancaster. And then I just went into player management. And then, the rest, as they say, I played a little bit for Accrington, scored a few goals for Accrington, but then I had to concentrate on the management.
Yeah, so for a player that was obviously talked about with, a rich goal-scoring record and that purple patch that you mentioned as well in the lower leagues, I mean, did you ever feel hard done by that you didn't perhaps get a chance at bigger clubs or at least a higher league to show everyone what you could do at that kind of level?
Yeah, obviously, the highest I played was the conference, and it was a bit different then. It was a bit of a closed shop. Now, I mean, I was scoring 45, 46 goals a season regularly. Conference North equivalent. And you couldn't do that now. If you score 46 goals in the Conference North, you're going into minimum League One.
Yeah.
That's a minimum thing now. Then it was a bit of a closed shop. Then there was a little bit of snobbery about it, I suppose. But not many players made the transition. And that was just the way it was. I am bitter about it, I'll be honest with you. I've given debuts to players that I think couldn't have laced my boots, but it is what it is, and there's no point looking back. You can only look forward now, and whatever anyone says, you still miss playing football, and I still miss it, and when I'm on the sideline, I'm heading every ball, I'm kicking every ball, and I think when that goes out here, it's probably time to pack up.
So if we didn't know tonight, lads, we're speaking to Accrington Stanley's longest serving manager. John, you started out at Ashton United in 1997. How did you arrive at the job at Accrington Stanley? How did that become available to you?
Well, I had 2.5 seasons at Ashton, and we missed out on promotion. We got the record number of points not to get promoted the second season. I took over around about the November time and steadied the ship, won a cup, and then the next season we finished third again, but the chairman just said, well, if you don't get promoted, you got to go. So I said, oh, no problem. And Accrington had just been relegated into the league we were in. And I'd got offered a job in the league. I had a Unibond Prem with Lee. They were interested in speaking to me, and he was more or less offering me the job over the phone. And I had arranged to meet him on the Wednesday, and then I met the then Accrington chairman, Eric Worley, on the Tuesday, and he sold me the club. It was a big club that was, a bit of a sleeping giant in non-league at the time, and it was an opportunity to get us going again. And we snapped his hands off. He was pleased that we had the same ethos as him, same love of football. My assistant manager at the time was Jimmy Bell. Well, still is. He's been my assistant manager since day one. Jimmy Bell, my best mate from Kirby. And both of us, were enamoured with what he had to say. And we couldn't wait to get started there. And we went into that league then heavily favourites because we had the biggest budget, and it didn't quite take off. By Christmas we were 17th. And this chairman had been trigger happy. He'd sacked 10 managers in 18 months. So, we were lucky that he probably liked us a little bit more than the others. So as I said, we were 17th at Christmas with the biggest budget in the league. And then we went on an unbelievable run. And the top two went up. And we were third on the last day of the season. But there was only us out the top three who were playing on the last day of the season. So if we drew, we stayed third and stayed down. But if we won, we went up as champions. So the first time we went into the top two was on the last day of the season, and I was player manager at the time, and I managed to score. We won 3-0. And that's still it is the best day of my life. That will never be beat. It was lucky my dad was there. My dad was alive then, and it was just a fantastic feeling. Full house at Accrington. And it was a taste of what was to come. It was, I'd be lying if I said, beyond my wildest dreams that we'd get even up into the conference, let alone get into League Two or League One. But it's been a great journey.
Yeah, well, you've literally just answered my question with that one there. In your first season player manager, you steered Stanley to the Northern Premier League Division 1 title. did that season give you the hunger to want more and achieve more with the club?
I think it gave us the belief that we wanted more. As I said, the chairman, he was desperate to get national football, so his ceiling of ambition was the conference. And then once we got the conference, the Holy Grail then, because Accrington was the first team to go bust in '62, ironically the year I was born. I think that was the Holy Grail. And once we got back in, there was a bit of apathy set in with the fans. It was as if, well, we've achieved the Holy Grail, and there was nothing else to achieve. And so it was a scrap to stay in the league, to be honest, for a few years. And then, I left. The club was in financial difficulties, and I was thinking that I've always built my managerial ethos on treating players the way I want to be treated. So treating them fairly, telling them the truth. And if they're not good enough, tell them. If there's areas to improve, tell them. But, be honest with them. And I was getting to the stage where I didn't believe what I was getting told, and I didn't want to be telling players things that I didn't think were quite true as regards to money situations. And, people had to pay mortgages by then we were full-time. And so I left, and it probably wasn't the right move I did when I went to Rochdale, but I left. And then I got the sack after a year at Rochdale, and I had a little spell at Southport where we kept them up, which was a great achievement for us, I think. And then we went to Sligo, had a wonderful little 3 or 4 months, experienced the Europa League, went to Rosenborg and won, which was fantastic. And we came back to Accrington, and then this time around at Accrington, everything just seemed to click. We've had some good seasons and played really good football. Yeah.
So I just want to, go back to when you got Accrington into the Football League. I mean, it's taken them from the 7th step of English football to the 4th step of English football, right? It's no mean feat. You've done what would probably be considered the impossible at the time, okay? So that season, you went on a 19-game unbeaten run stretching from October to March, finished on 91 points. You had the likes of Gary Roberts, who we know had a great career after Accrington, then the likes of Rob Elliott, who's played in goal for Newcastle in the Premier League. But I would probably say the unsung hero is Paul Mullen, who, despite being released by Accrington before your tenure, returned to the club and scored 132 goals in 320 games. And he only cost you 15 grand. Was that the best money you ever spent on a player?
I'd have to say so. What a diamond of a lad as well. Great player. He got fitter as he got older. As a youngster, I think he went to uni and he got embroiled in the university culture of, probably smoking a bit too much, drinking a bit too much. And when he settled down, he got married quite young, Paul. And when he came to us, and then we made the transition into the Football League, he took it like a duck to water. He worked ever so hard, very durable. And I remember he missed a game once with a cracked little toe, and I absolutely ironed him. I said, "What are you doing? What are you missing? I'll cut it off for a pair of pliers. You don't need your little toe." And but he played so many games for me, and he did exactly what I said in the tin. He never had less than a 7 out of 10. Wasn't a prolific goal scorer, and by his own admission, we used to go to pieces when he had a chance. And he'd always look over at me if he missed one. He'd always look over at me if he scored one. But he was a great lad, and he's still a good friend of mine. In fact, I spoke to his brother this morning. His brother's a scout at Man City.
Yeah, because was that right? Did his brother play for Accrington as well?
Yeah, his brother came as well. His brother had a really good career. He played. I think he scored that famous goal for Sunderland against Man United, 25-yarder, match of the day. Great lad, John, as well. Yeah, two smashing lads. Great family. Because when we signed Paul, that was a lot of money for us at the time, 15,000. And his dad, Bernard, was a lovely fella, but really died in the wool, Man U fans. And I remember him saying to him, "What are you doing signing for these 2 Scousers?" But no, he was. I'd have to say he's been the best signing we've ever made, to be honest.
Yeah, completely agree. And John, it goes without saying, not many people will know this, but the club didn't go full-time until 2004. I mean, amazing, really, considering 2 years later you'd achieved promotion to the Football League. You managed the club since 97. You hit your 20-year anniversary in that period as a Football League manager. every season keeping the club afloat, then taking them to the League Two playoffs. After losing in the semi-finals, did you think you'd done all you could at Accrington? Let's just remember at the time, you're the third longest serving manager in England behind Sir Alex and Arsene Wenger.
I mean, when I left, I possibly thought we had took Accrington as far as I could. When I come back, I didn't. And, you know, that heartbreak of 4 years ago now, when we missed out on the last day, you know, last minute, it's been an unbelievable run. We've been everything in sight. The record number of points not to go up in League Two. And the last minute we're playing Stevenage, who've parked the bus with nothing to play for, which was devastating. And we've hit the bar in the 93rd minute. And Bristol Rovers hit the post in the 93rd minute. Only theirs rebounded to their left back and he put it in. And it rebounded to our centre half and he put it over. And within that 10 seconds, that's how football can wound you. And honestly, people say, oh, well, it must have made it so much sweeter for you winning the league 2 years later, the way we did. No, it hasn't. It still hasn't erased the pain. I still have nightmares thinking about that too.
So yeah, you said earlier on there you left Accrington to join Rochdale. For that move, obviously you're moving up the football pyramid. Was that a move for you and your assistant to prove that, you know, you're not just able to do it at Accrington, you want to try and move up the league and do it somewhere else and get more focus on you? Because I think looking at Accrington, quite wrongly, there's always a stigma that they're such a small, tiny club. You know, was it about proving yourself elsewhere, that move, as much as anything?
I think to a certain extent it was, but, you know, Rochdale were languishing near the bottom at the time. And I think we went in there bullish thinking, well, we'll keep these up and then, you know, this will be a feather in our cap. Because we hadn't encountered relegation. We hadn't even looked like getting relegated. Well, possibly the first season in League Two. But I probably tried to move Accrington to Rochdale and move everything I did. Well, I ran the show at Accrington at the time. And then I've now gone into a board that were very hands-on, wanted to have the say. A lot of people in there trying to make decisions, a lot of gatekeepers, and it was difficult. It was difficult to impose my style on it. And historically, I've always done well second half of the season. So we got relegated. We had a game against Walsall where we thought we were getting out of it. We were 2-0 down with 8 minutes to go, and we got it back to 3-2 for us in injury time, and they went up the other end and scored. And I don't think we ever recovered from that. But the second season, you know, we got the sack in January, and people say we were a failure that season. Well, we weren't. You know, the 4 teams that went up that year, we went to Bradford and won. We went to Port Vale and drew. We went to Rotherham and won, and we went to Gillingham and won. So you don't like beat 3 and draw with 1 of the 4 teams who get promoted, go all the way from home, and have a flop of a season. It's just that we thought we could have done better, and you know we got the sack, and we had to take it on the chin. And to be honest, I went through a bit of a dark spell then. I had a year. Well, it was about 9 months where I was out of work, 10 months before I went back to Southport. And I suffered a bit from depression then, you know. It got on top of me a bit. I started doing a little bit of scouting for Bolton in the Championship. And that possibly made it worse. And I went to a bit of... I was fortunate, the LMA, the League Managers Association, have a confidential outline. So I was able to access that and get a bit of counselling and that. I read a few books and that got me back on track and then got me younger to get back into football. And I think the spell out probably made me appreciate it more as well. But I certainly come back stronger and more educated than I think the second time round at Accrington. The press at Accrington tend to label it Coley Mark II. I think Coley Mark II is a better version. It's an upgrade.
You know, that's a tremendous story. Like, just to hear that honesty from you know, suffering such a setback. You know, you had a great career up until that point at Accrington, and then to have that setback, you know, it must have been difficult to take. But like you said, that break must have done
one of the worst things
good for you.
In that time when I was going to the counselling. It's really remarkable. It was in Macclesfield, so it was about 50 mile away from me, 55 mile away from me. And anyway, the Accrington job came up again. Liam Richardson had gone to work with Paul Cook at Chesterfield. And so the chairman had phoned me up and he'd asked me to come back 3 times before that. And I'd brought Liam Richardson to the club, so I didn't want to stab him in the back. And I said, I'll come and help him, but I'm not going to come and take his job. And so the chairman said, well, why don't you come and help him? And I could understand Liam's point of view. He didn't mind me coming. But if I'd have come back, I'd have brought Jimmy Bell with me. And I think he'd have felt that we'd have just took over, which we would. You know, I didn't lie to him. I was up front with him. And I said to him, listen, he's asked me to come back. I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to do that to you. So anyway, it transpired that he went. And so the chairman said, well, listen, you know, I want you back, but, you know, we've got a board now. We've got a board of 6 or 7 people. We're going to have to let it be done properly. We're going to have to go through an interview process. So I went through an interview process on my way to one of these counselling sessions, because the interviews were being held 10 miles away from Macclesfield, so we killed 2 birds with 1 stone. So it goes in, the chairman was a bit sheepish and he said, oh, this is like interviewing Alex Ferguson for the Man United job. And so I went in and there was a bit of one of the directors who I don't know, he's gone since then. One of the directors said to me, why should we give you the job? And I said, well, you haven't got a manager and I haven't got a job. So he said, well, why you? And I said, well, how many points have Accrington taken in the 65 games since I'd left that they played? I said, in the 65 games since I've left, how many points have Accrington taken? So he said, I don't know, but I'm sure you're going to tell me. So I'm thinking, this fellow doesn't even like me, but he doesn't know me. So I said, well, yeah, I am going to tell you, because, you know, obviously I've done my homework for the interview. I said, they've took 71 points, which is, you know, relegation form, really. 65 games, 71 points. You're lucky that they've been split over 2 seasons. So he said, okay, and what? I said, well, how many points did they get the 65 games before I left? So he said, I don't know, but I'm sure you're going to tell me. So I said, well, it was 107. I said, and that's promotion form.
Yeah.
I said, so the basic thing is, I've got promotion form for 65 games and you've got relegation form for 65 games. That's why you should employ me. So anyway, I leave the interview and I had a bad feeling about it. I thought, I'm being set up here. And so I went to the counselling, and then I come home, and as I come home, the chairman phoned me and he said, I thought he was going to apologise for like putting me third really, and he said, we've decided to turn the page and go a different way. We're giving it to James Beattie. Well, I've given the item abuse. I said, listen, I don't mind you going with James Beattie, that's your prerogative. You know, I'm sure he'd be a good manager and he's a good fella. I like James, I've, you know, spoke to him a few times since. I said, but don't bring me as a show pony. If you weren't going to give me the job, why bring me for an interview? I can't fail an interview for Accrington. You know, it's like getting an interview for you to be yourself.
Yeah.
It's like going for an interview to be John Coleman and not getting the job.
Yeah.
So that was a body blow to me. And then the chairman came over to see me in Ireland when I went to Ireland, when I went to manage Sligo, and we sorted better the action. We had a couple of pints of Guinness, and then 3 or 4 months later, he was offering me the job again. So,
yeah, you mentioned there your time at Sligo earlier, like an incredible achievement to take such a small club. You know, I think the Irish League gets a little bit of flack, but there's been some great players and managers come out of there. You know, for Sligo, a little club like Sligo, to go to the home of the Norwegian champions, or a big club. I've always known Rosenborg as a Champions League club. Yeah. Like they may have slipped down a little bit, but just talk us through that time and how that felt to experience the Europa League. It
was unbelievable, you know, because when I took the job, I could only have my assistant for 4 weeks. So they had the first round of the Europa League. They said, we've got to get through the first round of the Europa League. There's ours next week. So you can keep him for 4 weeks, but if we don't win and we don't go through the next round, he'll have to go home. So I took it on the basis that, well, if you send him home, I'll go home. So we went to a team called FK Banga in Lithuania. Now, when the draw got made, the fans booked the flights before the team could. They're all ready on the computer. So there's no flights. So half of us went from Sligo to Luton. Half went from Sligo to Gatwick. And then we met up we both flew to 2 different airports in Lithuania. And then we met up in the middle at the hotel. So Jimmy took half, I took half. And we played in a plastic pitch. It was about playing a dog there. It was funny. And we ended up drawing 0-0. And then We won 4-0 the home game, so that set up the tie with Rosenberg. Well, this time we hired a plane and we got the fans to come on the plane with us. And we managed to beat them 2-1. And then what made it even worse, we went 1-0 up in the home leg. So we're 3-1 up in aggregates, and then the left back made a howler 3-2, and you could feel that the fans were getting edgy, and we ended up losing 3-1 going out on the night 4-3. But it was still a great experience, and just playing over there was good. Met some great people. We've got an Accrington Supporters Club now in Sligo. 6 or 7 of the directors come over 4 or 5 times a year. We go over to there. We've took Accrington over to play a couple of times as well. It's a great relationship with the club. And great people there. Lovely town as well, you know, Sligo. Lovely part of the world. And the Irish football was good. You know, I brought my captain back, who's been captain for me for 5 years, James Keneally. Brought Shawnee Maguire back over, you know, and he's having an unbelievable spell at Preston now, playing for the Irish national team. So there's good players coming out today, you know.
So you said there you buried the hatchet with Accrington during your time in Ireland. Was there any offers coming in for you from other clubs at that time, or was it? What I'm trying to say is,
I'd had one or two phone calls, but nothing concrete. But it was quite funny really, because I hadn't been home. We'd been there about 4 months, and I hadn't been home. Jimmy had been home a couple of times, and my wife would come over to visit a few times, but I hadn't been home. I wanted to, you know, just concentrate on trying to climb the table really, and the European thing that took it out of us a bit. But we were out the IFA Cup before I got there. They'd been knocked out before I got there. And we had a 2-week break, and the chairman said to me, he said, go home, go and see your family, go home, go and have a blow from football. So the Accrington manager had been sacked by then, so I'd arranged to go to watch Accrington, so on the Saturday as I was going home. So I phoned the chairman up and I said, listen, I said, if I go home and I'm going to go and watch Accrington, there's a good chance they're going to offer me the job. What do you think? I'll stay here if you want. And he said, no. He said, go home. He said, if they offer you the job, take it. He said, not that I want to lose you, I don't want to lose you. He said, but you've got far more chance of realising your ambitions in England and with Accrington than you have with us. You know, money's tight with us. It's going to be difficult if we don't get into Europe again. And so I went with his blessing, which was good. And then, you know, we arranged a small compensation fee, and we brought Accrington over the following week to play a game, to raise a few bob for him. And that's a sign of the man, you know, as a friend. You know, he put his friendship ahead of, you know, what he thought. He put what was best for me first, really, and that was refreshing, because you don't often get that in football. You know, everyone's generally out for their own aims, and, you know, I've got a lot of respect for him, Dermot Kelly, great fella.
Yeah. So as you said earlier, this was sort of your second time at Accrington is the Mark II, and you've achieved probably more than any Accrington fan would probably ever expect to. You know, you had that tremendous season, like you said, win the league and getting into League One. What changed for you as well as the club during that time? What was the main difference? You coming back and been able to achieve that?
I think we were more stable, because Andy Holt took over about a year after I'd come back, and he cleared all the debts, put us on an even keel. We could start signing players on longer deals. We could turn down bids. You know, if someone offered 50,000 for our best player, he went, because we had to take the 50,000. And that culminated 2 years ago. We held on there, although it took a bit of convincing the chairman then, but we managed to get 1.6 million for Caden Jackson. Now, 10 years ago, that would have been 160,000 if we were lucky. So that's changed. We could get players on longer deals, get better players. But even when we won League Two, we had the second lowest budget. We were favourites to go down. Everyone's favourite for relegation. But I'm a firm believer in trying to educate yourself. I've done all my pro licence, the badges I can do. And I did the diploma of football management, and it was fascinating, really. It was because they were talking about, you know, the difference between managing and leading. You know, you lead from the front, and you lead, and you try and lead with a cause. You know, you get people a dream that they buy into, and so when we went back after that course, I sat all the players down, everyone I could get who were working at the club, the kit man, you know, the people in the offices. And I said, listen, we've all got to focus now and we're good enough to get promoted here. but we've got to believe it. If we don't believe it, we need to leave now. So anyone who doesn't believe it, leave now. But everyone, do the very best in everything you do. Even the youth players, you know, when you're asked on to play in a bounce game, you know, or in a practice match, you know, to make us better. Everything you can do to just help inch us over the line. We've all got to be pulling the same way. And anyway, the lads were magnificent that year. And, you know, we had the great tussle with Luton. But we managed to win the league by about 5 or 6 points, which was a remarkable achievement for them set of players, considering we were training, well, we have been training on plastic every day for 6 years. You know, and we're training on plastic, then we're going to play on grass. Thankfully, this season, we've got grass pitches, sorts of nice grass pitches. So that's a real big boost for me and for the players going back. But it was really, really difficult training on plastic and on a daily basis. And the lads were magnificent.
Yeah, and you know, we went down to Accrington Stanley. I'll let you guess what club you support. We're the ones who bought Caden Jackson off you, so we know exactly what you're all about, because we've not had a good time up at the Crown Ground.
What do you think of Caden?
He's a great lad. You know, I think he's had a lot of stick, and I think for when he came to us at Ipswich, he came in at a really difficult time. We'd lost arguably 75% of our goals in the team, and he was pinned up there to replace it. But this past season just gone, 17 goal contributions. I think he scored 11 goals and a handful of assists. He's a great player. But that leads me on to my next point. You've got a great eye for talent, like as we've seen with Caden Jackson coming through. The player you had last season who tore Ipswich apart again was Colby Bishop. Is players that you said about your time where you weren't given opportunities, Colby Bishop came from the Conference North or National League North. Do you feel like you want to give these lads the opportunities to show where you maybe didn't get that opportunity?
Well, yeah, it's not just because of that, though. You know, that unfortunately is the market I have to shop in. But, you know, if they're going to be scoring goals and they're physically capable to do it on a regular basis, why not give them the opportunity? And Colby caught the eye every time I saw him, to be honest. And I did say to take another lad from Leamington, and he ended up, he turned me down and signed for Forest Green. So, and then, but, you know, two of the lads who played, you know, Dion Charles, he came from Southport, Conference North as well. The players are out there. You know, I don't think that we're ever going to get the Jamie Vardy's happening too often. But there is players who you can take out to non-league and certainly, you know, get them going.
Yeah, exactly. So another question I'd like to know, what does Accrington mean to you? You know, I think it's a place where if you've never been as a football fan, I think it's one of them places you have to go, because you don't understand what sort of club it is until you go there. You know, we went there this season, and as you said, Andy Holt's a fantastic owner. You know, he was great with all the Ipswich fans, and he's been great to the club. I'm sure you'll agree. But being on the inside, what does Accrington mean to you? What does it mean to you?
Well, you know, I've met so many friends in my time there. When I first went there, we were getting 200 or 300. Now, you got to know about 50 or 100 of them. And they're still good friends of mine today. You know, I still speak to lots of them today, and, you know, some still text me. And, you know, you'll have been aware of the winners hour that Andy's done there, where he has £1 a pint in the club, and we generally go in for an hour or two and mingle with the fans. And it's a great atmosphere. He has a band on. It's great when you win. You know, it's not so good for me when I've got to go in when we've lost. But it's great when you win, and it's a great atmosphere. But he's tried to make it a match day experience that doesn't just involve football. So it's not just all about winning and losing, which is really good, really. You know, you can have a good day out, and it's not expensive. You know, I go to watch Liverpool. I'm still a fan. I go to watch Liverpool. Oh, I go to watch Liverpool and I want a pint. It's going to cost me £9. Now, it's going to cost me a fiver at Accrington. You're not getting a Premiership pie and a Premiership pint. Still the same pie, still the same pint. And they're getting 50,000 through the gate, so surely they should be able to sell it cheaper rather than dearer. So I think he's very fair to the fans. He doesn't want to rip people off. You know, he doesn't want to rip away fans off either. You know, the same price as what you pay in the home end, you pay in the away end. And I think he's created a great environment, and he's making it, you know, I mean, our ground was an absolute hovel, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. You know, that new stand, you know, that was a cow shed. No toilets. I mean, even now, the changing rooms are still woeful, and they're going to get done. There's plans in for them to be done. But the best place to go to the toilet now in Accrington is in the away end or in the home end. Yeah. You know, they're the best.
That's the only place I haven't queued for a piss this season, I can guarantee.
They're the new toilets. And he's done wonders, and you know, the pitch is being sorted out. The pitch was horrendous for years, and you know, now it's something to be proud of. And the type of football you've seen us play, we're not like, you know, a long ball team. We do try and get it down and pass and go through the line, so it suits us down to the ground. And hopefully we'll get this side done. He'll get new offices built, and more importantly, new changing rooms, which we've been crying out for.
It's been absolutely brilliant having you on, John. I mean, to be honest, we've had a number of managers on here, previous managers have managed in the Premier League, but to have a manager who's actively in the game at the moment is astounding. And to you know, you've got so many stories, not just to talk about Accrington, but in yourself and those important things, and that's what everyone loves to hear. So, firstly, thank you for that. Secondly, we've got one question that we ask everyone that comes on this channel. We're looking for one player, and we just cannot get hold of this guy. It's Dele Adebola. Do you know him?
Unbelievable player. Played for me at Rochdale. Scored some wonderful goals. Great lad. Good scouser. Great lad. I couldn't praise him highly enough. My only regret was I didn't get him earlier. I couldn't afford him earlier, to be fair, but what a lad.
He was a solid championship striker in his day. Over 100 championship goals he scored. Yeah,
great player. As I said, I'd like to have had him earlier. And just for you Ipswich fans, by the way, my grandson is a Norwich fan.
Oh my God.
Bet him off now.
And you wouldn't believe it, right? You know, because Luis Suarez used to torture Norwich, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Oh.
And so the time when he scored 4, and I text my son-in-law, because that's why he's a Norwich fan, his son-in-law's a Norwich fan.
What a disgrace.
And I texted my son-in-law and I said, who was the last Norwich player to touch the ball? I'll give you the clue, it was in the first half. And he absolutely ironed me. He sent me a picture back of my grandson, he was only a baby then, in a Grant Holt baby grow.
Oh, God.
I've never recovered.
I think that he's reporting to the NSP.
I feel a bit sick, man. That is terrible. Can't believe you just said that. John, look, thanks for coming on tonight, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. And look, good luck next season. And hopefully it goes well for you, all right, mate?
Cheers, I've enjoyed it. Good luck, boys.